Hello everybody, welcome back to our second part of our best of videos, and this one is going to be the battle ratings 3.3 through 5.3. I decided not to go to 6 because 5, 7, and 6 can fit very nicely in with the third video with the jets. So I've decided to stop at 5.3. Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about realistic battle ratings and what the best planes are in those battle ratings, in my opinion. And when it comes to the best, it doesn't mean it flies the best, it shoots the best, or it's just I like it the best. So let's talk about battle rating 3.3. At battle rating 3.3, we're going to jump to the German tree, and you're going to see the Focke-Wulf 190A1. The Focke-Wulf 190A1 is it's a good fighter. I like it because it's very snappy. And when I say that, I mean due to the fact that the wings are kind of short compared to the size of the engine and the center of balance. It seems like if you rotate your wings, like do an axle roll to the left or to the right, it will go very fast. It will snap those wings over to that position and snap them back. What I do like about it is it has two 20mm cannons as well as the 4 machine guns. And now these are only 7.92mm machine guns, but the 2 cannons really make up the difference. They have quite a bit of ammo on the machine guns, 4,000 rounds, so that's going to last you quite a bit of time. It has a great turn time of 18.9 seconds. It has a pretty good climb rate, pretty good max altitude of 43,000 feet, and it flies at a pretty good clip. It flies at 420 miles per hour. And as well as being a really good zoom and boomer that most German aircraft are good at, it also is good at the turn war. So it actually is kind of good in both regards. The one downside about the Focke-Wulf is a couple of hits and it'll catch fire, another couple of hits and you've totally blown it away. So it's kind of like a Zero in that regards. It's really agile, really strong guns, but I feel it's kind of weak, and it can be shot down pretty quick. So you, as a pilot, you need to really be on your game. Battle rating 3.7. Yeah, battle rating 3.7. We're going to jump back to the American tree and we're going to look at this iconic P-38. The P-38 is a twin-engine fighter with the cockpit right in between the engines. So, and then the cannons were center-lined. The cannons and machine guns are all in the nose. So there's no need for any extra bulk in the wings. The tail is a very large center elevator, so it actually is a really extremely maneuverable plane. It's one of the more maneuverable planes, and it in regards to compared to other multi-engine fighters. The centerline guns mean that when you're aiming at your target, there's no need for convergence because everything is going to land on target. Now, in War Thunder, the P-38 cannot have bombs or rockets, which is historically inaccurate. In that, well, I don't know if this specific model couldn't have it, but historically, the P-38 was able to carry a bomb load that was rivaled the B-17. It could almost carry as much as the B-17 could carry. I know that's kind of crazy, but it could. And so by the P-38 Lightning not having a bomb load in War Thunder kind of freaks me out. I don't understand why that. It should at least have rockets because this plane was used heavily with rockets against, what are they just, Japanese targets on various islands. Now, it is equipped with the 20mm cannon as well as 4 50 cal machine guns. It has a turn time of 19 seconds. It climbs extremely fast, and it has a max speed of 424. Battle rating 4.0. At battle rating 4.0, we're going to stay with the Americans, and we're going to jump into a P-51. Not a P-51D, just the P-51. And this is the early version of the P-51 with 4 Hispano Mark II cannons. It has 500 rounds of ammunition, which is quite a bit, gives it quite a bit of endurance when you're fighting. And plus, with the good turn time of 20 seconds, it's actually able to do a turn war. It could also boom and zoom, but it has a poor climb rate of only 13 meters per second, which means once you do that dive and you give up your altitude, it's hard for you to get back up into the air. But once it's down, it is able to turn. And that's one reason why I like it, because as you know, I like planes that can turn. Now, it has a max speed of 392, and with the 4 Hispanos, it pretty much can tear up any plane out there. Now, the British also have a version of the P-51. So it's the P-51 is kind of that's a premium vehicle with the British.
Keep it up, and victory will be ours. I need cover. Roger that. I agree. Affirmative.
At battle rating 4.3. At battle rating 4.3, we're going to go ahead and jump on back to the British tech tree, and we're going to look at the Spitfire Mark V. The Spitfire Mark V Charlie incorporates the Charlie wing. As you know, there is an A wing with all machine guns, a B wing, which is a mixture of cannons and machine guns, and the C wing, which is all cannons. And the Mark V Charlie has 4 Hispano machine guns. Now, the production of the Mark V Charlie began in 1941, and it was equipped with a Rolls-Royce Merlin. But when the Focke-Wulf appeared, the 190, the Spitfire pilots found themselves being outmaneuvered at low and medium altitudes. So they fitted it with a bigger, more powerful Merlin, and they had a Merlin 50, 55, 56. So on lower altitude models, further changes were implemented to reduce drag and inertia of the aircraft's wingspan was reduced. And the wing tips are redesigned to be nearly rectangular. So the low altitude Mark V's were called LFs, or LF Mark V for low flight. The mid altitudes were just called Fs, and the high altitude ones were called HFs. So when you're looking at your lineups in your British and you see LF or F or HF, well, you know it was low, mid, or high altitude. Now I like the Spitfire Mark V Charlie because it has a turn time of, listen to this, 16 seconds. That means it can outturn for every plane out there. It can pretty much outturn every plane. It doesn't have the greatest max speed. It's 368, not bad, just not great. So don't go into a dive at 400 miles per hour and try to do one of those 16-second turns, because what you're going to do is you're going to find your wings coming off. But if you're able to turn gently or take it slowly, not a dive, you're going to outturn every plane out there, and you're going to be able to put those 20mm Hispanos on them, and you're going to put them on fire or blow them to pieces. It has a max altitude of 34,000, which is pretty close to everything else in that time frame. But the climb rate is mid-range. It's okay. It's 19 meters per second.
Attacking!
Battle rating 4.7. At 4.7, we're going to jump back to the American tree, and we're going to look at the F4U-1 Charlie, the Corsair. The F4U Corsair is an iconic naval aircraft because of the cantilevered wings. You see the wings go down and back up, and their story behind that is the engine and the propeller was the largest propeller ever used on a single engine fighter. And with conventional wings, the landing gear would have to be way too long, which would mean that high impact landings on carriers, however, would break the landing gear struts. So the Voigt came up with a solution which would have down sweeping wings right at the point where the landing gear would deploy, and then back up. And that means the landing gear could still be short and the propeller could still be large. Now the 1 Charlie variant of the F4U is the variant with the 4 cannons, and these are, there's 924 rounds for these cannons, which is, I think, the most cannon rounds carried by any fighter. It does have a pretty fast maximum speed with that propeller and engine of 417 miles per hour, and it has a reasonable turn time of 22 seconds. But what I really like about the Corsair is it can change direction. So like if you are turning to the right, you can roll to the left and start going to the left, which would compensate for not having the greatest turn time. And this way you can throw off your would-be pursuer. It is not the strongest plane out there. It's just a normal, it's not like traditional US planes or armored or high hit points. The Corsair doesn't have that. It has just a regular old hit points, and it also has a fairly low maximum altitude of only 36,000 feet. The climb rate is low also, 16,000 feet, or 16 meters per second. It does require 820 feet to take off, and but because of its ability to change direction and its cannons and its speed, and just because it's a blast to fly, I love the F4D1 chart.
Him down.
Alright, now at battle rating 5.0. Now at battle rating 5.0, we're going to go back to the American tree, but we are going to break into Era 4. Era 4 is rank 4, and that's the end of the war. We're hitting end of the war planes now, and we're going to be talking about the P-51D-5. Okay, there's a bunch of P-51Ds, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Dash 5, because that's a great plane at battle rating 5.0. It's a North American P-51 Mustang, and it was probably the best U.S. fighter of World War II. It was exported to other countries, and it was even used after World War II in a variety of different conflicts. The P-51D had the teardrop or bubble canopy. And the earlier P-51 had a blind spot to its rear, so with the bubble canopy and with the British design Malcolm hood on a lot of P-51Bs, it improved the rearward visibility with the bubble canopy.
Destroy the target.
Now the
Launching an attack.
one thing that really is great about the P-51 is it has 6 machine guns. They're 50 cal machine guns, but listen to this, it has 2,080 rounds of 50 cal machine guns, or 50 cal rounds. It has a good top speed at 424. It has a pretty good turn time, 21 seconds. It has a climb rate of only 15.7 meters per second. So it's not the greatest climber, but it is great at diving. It can dive. You can pull out of a dive probably even within 1,000. I mean, if you were going straight down within 1,000 feet of the ground, you could probably pull out of that. Without your wing shearing. It is awesome. I have a lot of good time, a lot of fun playing the P-51. First of all, it's probably the most iconic American fighter, and it is capable of taking on pretty much every other fighter out there.
Take him down. I need support. Take him down. Yes, sir.
Battle rating 5.3. At battle rating 5.3, we are still in Era 4, and we jump over to the British tech tree and we look at the Seafire MK17. Well, by late 1944, the Seafire had already had a number of major component changes. It went from the 15 to the 17. There was a Mark III. And the Seafires were had the Griffin engine. So it was like one of the first planes that had the Griffin engine. But what's really coincidental is Our naval squadron, our squadron in War Thunder, is the 807th Naval Air Squadron, and the Seafire MK17 was the first our squadron, 807th, was the first squadron to receive the new Seafire MK17 in December 1945, after returning to Britain from the Far East. Now, it does have 2 Hispanos, and it has the 4 Browning machine guns, so it is very similar to all the Spitfires, with the B wings, but it does have a speed of only 377 miles per hour, and it also has a turn time of 18.1 seconds. And that was battle rating 3.3 through battle rating 5.3 on the realistic chart. And the third video will be 5.7 and above, but you can expect there to be a little time before I make the third video, 6 months I'm guessing, or something like that, so that I can build up a collection of tier 5 planes, test them out, and find out which ones I'm actually, which ones I like the best. And I'm also planning on doing a couple of other series. I'm planning on doing something similar, but with just bombers. And I'm also planning on doing something about the maps, where I'm going to go through each and every map and kind of just fly around, single player or something, just to kind of show off all the kind of nuggets and hidden nuggets and hidden, what do they call them, Easter eggs on the different maps. Alright, well, thanks for coming out and checking out this video. If you liked it, please like it. If you subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated. And remember, we do accept donations and to keep this channel going. So I'll see you in the air.